So distractions, good, bad, really all distractions are the same, right?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think distractions are distractions have positive and negative effects depending on how we perceive them. For me, I guess if let's start with positive anyway. A good distraction is something like I'm at a coffee shop and I'm drawing, and there's all these people around me, and I'm deeply engaged in my drawing, yet I'm distracted by the conversations around me rather. And so that opens up my creative flow because I'm busy thinking about what these people are saying and not paying attention to what it is that I'm doing, which is a very, very important part of my creative process. Music has the same place in that process. Music does exactly the same thing, only I can actually control the music, right? I can like frame the music. And so I kind of like the random chaos of those like outward distractions as opposed to the internally imposed distractions.
All right, so your thinking when you're working on artwork, your thinking distracts you. Your thinking is the distraction?
Yeah, because my thinking, as soon as I start thinking about what it is that I'm doing, I'm distracted away from the creative flow. I'm busy thinking about what this line means or why is this line here instead of just making the lines.
Okay, I can relate to that in a similar way where I use distractions to get my mind off of what I'm thinking about, to kind of freshen my mind. I'll play some strategy games, or I'll exercise or something like that, or I'll watch some TV. I'll take part in some good distractions, or rather bad distraction, whatever they're distractions. I'll just kind of shut my brain off for a bit and then, reapproach whatever puzzle I'm working on. So I can kind of relate to that, but then obviously in a different sense. But what you're doing is you're letting the music motivate you or inspire you, and you're going with the flow.
Yeah. So then conversely, right? I mean, those distractions I allow, and I seek those distractions when I'm working. And then sometimes when I'm working, there are different kinds of distractions. There are distractions like Facebook. Facebook, yeah. Terrible distraction, I had this show in November, this online, actually a Facebook show, which is ironic. And I was working on the show, and I had Facebook open in the background the whole time, and of course music playing. But as I was working, and I was like totally engaged with the work, and I was painting, every once in a while I hear this like chat pop, oh, who's that, right? And I go look, right? I'm totally disengaged from my process. And it's a tough thing, and I allow it. It's a very different kind of distraction. That is a bad distraction, away from my creative process.
Well, I think that's too much of a good thing as a bad thing, because, with technology, with email, with instant messaging, Facebook alike, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, there's good resources to pull from that, ways that you can communicate with other people, but too much of a good thing is a bad thing, and that's the distraction.
That's right, and there is so much of a good thing on there, right? This is why we come back. It has this almost addictive quality.
Right. And really, that's what actual distractions kind of can be, is addictions, or rather, when they turn into addictions, that's the real distraction.
That's right. They sort of, they find this place where they placate the mind away from, and it depends on what the person is thinking. I mean, for me, sometimes I don't really know anybody in the city, and so this loneliness sort of creeps in, right? And so by acting out, if you will, on Facebook, I'm engaging within that, but at the same time, it's false, right? It's a strange. I could be out. I could go out.
Mm-hmm. And listen to music.
And listen and actually see some music. Can you imagine the collaboration of those two things?
How does one, balance the distractions, where you accept the distractions to a certain extent, but when is a distraction too much, and how do you manage the difference, or the contrast, the balance?
Well, I mean, I believe, like many things, I believe that it's different for everyone. for me, it's certainly, I accept all distractions. I appreciate them all. I think that they're there for a reason, and I let them go. I let them go the same way that I let it go when I'm really drawing and I'm really into it, and the people that I was listening to get up and go, right? And so that I find myself floating between the space of like this distracted mind and this creative flow. They start to join again, and then I pick up on something else, and then I'm taken right back into that creative flow because I'm so distracted.
One of the ways that I kind of try to avoid or manage my distractions is I use a web application called Rescue Time. And what it does is it runs in the background, and it basically watches what programs you're using, what websites you're going to, and at the end of every week it sends you an email, weekly kind of summary, and it can show you kind of a graph, kind of a bar graph of how much time you're spending using different types of programs, what kinds of you can go in specifically what programs, and what kinds of websites. So you might be seeing video websites, reference websites, social networking websites, or something that shows up big on my analytics. But one of the other things it's cool that it does is that you can specifically set goals for yourself. That you can, I don't want to be on YouTube any longer than 30 minutes a day, for example. And so that when I'm on YouTube for more than 30 minutes a day, this pop-up window will pop up and just say, you've been on YouTube for more than 30 minutes. It's time to, get off. And it's kind of like a little assistant, telling you to, all right, move on. So moving on, I like it because it's, it really kind of helps me figure it out. And I'm a visual person, so I like the analytics and, all the stats and that kind of stuff. But more importantly, I like the reminders to say, whoa, move on. So it's a handy tool. I highly suggest it.
I think it would probably drive me to deeper distraction. Be one of these things that just would drive me crazy. I'd be like, you know what? Shut up. Yes, I've been on YouTube for more than 30 minutes. Shut up. I need to. This is an important distraction, right? So I would never employ this tool. That tool, because my way is to accept distraction, right? Allow distraction to pervade throughout me.
You go with the flow.
You
lose control. You let chaos kind of take over because you're doing the kind of artwork, whereas I'm doing, I've got 30 projects to do in a week's time. So, depending on how you're doing it. So that's interesting.
Well, no, I still have the same number of projects. I approach them differently.
Well, it makes sense because you're art, I'm tech.
Yes, and together we are culture.